Thank you, Misha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. South Florida chapter. I'm delighted to be here. Let me just do one thing here.
And Peter, since I got cut off a little bit in your intro, feel free to just elaborate a little bit on yourself before you get started, okay?
All right. Well, I've been an ICF member since 1996. I am an MCC, as Misha indicated, and have been an MCC since they had MCC. When I first joined ICF in 1996, we didn't have ACC, PCC, MCC. It wasn't until like 1999 that we all figured that all out. But here's what I would really love to have you know about me is I am bullish on being a professional coach and for coaches to be a professional ICF coach. We've been given the privilege of being a professional coach that holds a space for other human beings to be the best that they can be, to know who they really are. And that's what we're going to delve into today. I come at that from a very spiritual standpoint. You don't have to be spiritual to be here. You don't have to be spiritual to be in this class. You don't have to be spiritual to use the tools that I'm going to share with you. I'll give you some examples of that as we go through this. But I believe that every human being is here for a purpose. And I believe that every human being is here for a unique purpose to support somebody, some things in their part of the world that nobody else can do. And so I think coaching is an avenue for that, to open that up to people. And even though I've been around for 26 years and the profession's been around for like 27 years, literally, I think that we're at the very beginning. We're in the nascent stage of professional coaching, having a huge impact on the global humanity, the planet itself, all the people in it. So anyhow, I'm delighted to be here. I'm just thrilled to be here. And so I want to thank Jimmy in particular, who reached out to me and put all kinds of effort and energy into what do we want to do exactly? And so we figured that out. So Jimmy, a great big 2 thumbs up for you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So let's get right to, let me switch gears here just a little bit. That's what I want to do. How to coach at the intersection of a client's spirituality, however they may hold that, by the way. We'll talk more specifically about how I hold that for my clients and my students. And at the intersection of spirituality and practicality. For me, spirituality is, if it's anything, it's practical. It's incredibly practical in the context of coaching. Things happen faster. Clients go deeper. The coach and client will have a higher level of trust established if you're able to and willing to have a conversation around things like spirituality. And that's not the only thing, obviously, but that is what we're going to focus on in the next hour or so, hour and a quarter. And so what I've found is that even very senior coaches go, oh, no, I can't talk about spirituality. You know, it's kind of like in America here, it's, you know, the separation between church and state. Yeah, no. We at work, we work, and you can do everything else at home, right? Do that in the privacy of your own life. No, that's not the way humans are designed or designed to operate. So for me, that's a bunch of bunk. So what are we going to do here? Learn how to ask a client about their spiritual traditions. We ask questions as coaches. So let's ask them. And number 2, how do we use it once we know that? What do we learn about our clients continuously from the beginning of the engagement all the way through the coaching engagement. So how can we employ, how can we use, how can we support the client even better, stronger, more openly by knowing this information about them up front? We'll talk about that. Number 2, experience a proven core self-discovery process. This is a process that has been used at Coach for Life for the last 26 years, literally. And more recently, in the last probably 10 years, I've created a short version of what we teach in our class that is spectacularly amazing. And it blew my socks off when it first came through us. And it's like, yeah, okay, so this is a short version. It's not going to be very powerful. It's not going to go very deep. And it's turned out to be just the opposite. So we'll actually take you through the experience of that 10-minute process today, right here. Don't go away. Number 3, learn how to use the client's, again, core self elements. Once I know that about my client and the client knows that about themselves, how do we use it? How do we support them and partner with them in terms of asking them, frankly, stronger and more powerful questions? A live group demo. And then finally, a challenge. What are the takeaways that you're committed to bring into practice within your coaching practice in the next couple of weeks? So I'm going to do a preemptive MCC kind of challenging at the end. We'll see how that goes. And you can, like anything else, you can do that, not do that, agree to do it, not agree to do it. That's where we're headed. So this is something that I ask in the foundation session. I'll describe what a foundation session is to me. Some people will call that a chemistry session. Some people will call that an intake. But this is after the agreement has been signed between coach and client, or coach and client and sponsor, as the case may be, okay? Once that's done, before we jump into our weekly coaching sessions or bi-weekly coaching sessions, if I could insist that my graduates do a foundation session first, I would. And if I had some way of upholding that, don't do coaching without a foundation session. So the foundation session is for us an hour and a half to 2 hours. It establishes the goals that the client has. Why are they here? Why are they in this engagement? What do they want to get out of this engagement over the next 3 months or 6 months, or again, however long that engagement has been agreed to be. And it's also to learn more about the client. So some things that I ask about the client is, what's your family unit look like? Are you married? Is your partner living with you? Are you separated? Do you have kids? Are they adult kids? Are they living in the house? Do you interact with them on a daily or weekly basis? All those kinds of things in terms of what's their ecosystem. Ask about their cultural things. Anything that's important to them to establish a bonding between and a relationship of safety between myself and them. And I also ask them about their spirituality. And I'm going to get to the exact form that I've been using for 26 years. I taught the same thing at the international ICF international conference in London, like in, I don't know, 2012, I want to say, or something. And half the room was filled with MCCs because none of them had been talking about spirituality with their clients. Because again, this taboo. It's like, oh no, I'm not Hindi. I'm not this, that, or the other thing. I don't understand. But ask. That's what we do. Ask. So how do you ask? Number one, and number two is, what is the practicality to know about your client's spirituality or lack of spirituality, as the case may be? So here's a simple form. Let's go with 4 or 5 questions here. My relationship, this is an actual form that I send out to my client prior to the foundation session. They fill it out. I ask them to fill it out along with the contract, sign it if it's not already signed. A couple of other forms in terms of the goals of this session. What do you want to accomplish over the next 3 months, et cetera, et cetera. Do you experience a divine presence? Yes or no? Do you experience a divine presence? 98%, 99% of my clients have said, yep. One guy said, no. So, okay, we'll get to him in a second. Second question, if so, What name or names do you call your divine presence? I call my divine presence Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, Mother, Father, Earth, the universe, my creator, spirit. Whatever they call it, I honor their way of calling it. I'm not a missionary. I'm not here to convert them to anything. I'm more interested in being able to know what background they come from. Maybe I was raised Catholic, but now I'm more ecumenical, and I'm a kind of a sense of spirituality. And I, work with Buddhism, or I work with science of mind, whatever that might all look like. That's what we do. That's what they talk about. Describe the experience. What's the experience? I have a sense of calm. I have a sense of connection. I have a sense of meaning. I have a sense of whatever it is that they have a sense of. I don't feel alone in the universe. I've got, they've got my back 24/7. That's the kind of stuff that comes up here. I am consciously connected with my divine presence X% of the time. So coaching is about raising the level of awareness. So I asked them about how often is that present for you consciously. I intentionally use the word consciously. Unconsciously, probably 95% of the time. Consciously, maybe 30% of the time. Okay. Again, I'm not judging. There's no, scale on this. It's just whatever it is. And then finally, what establishes or strengthens your conscious connection to your sense of a divine presence? And then things like this come out. I pray. I read the Bible. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I like poetry. I listen to soothing music. I have incense. I walk in the park. I spend time with my doggy. I'm immediately connected when I'm with my children or grandchildren. There's 1,000 different ways that they can say. And again, that's why I asked the question, open-ended. So how do you do it? What goes on? Now, I'm going to come back to the guy that said no. I sent this out to everybody. And at this stage, I don't know. I've probably coached personally, I'm going to say 400 people off and on over the course of the last 20 years, 25 years. One guy said, no, I don't believe in God. And I forget if he was agnostic or an atheist, doesn't matter in the moment. But I said, okay, so when you really need to know an answer for yourself or a loved one that is vitally important to you, where do you go to access that answer? I said, oh, okay, Peter. I close my eyes. I take a relaxing breath. I kind of lower my head a little bit just to relax into my body. And then I imagine myself coming down into my gut. And my gut directs me, guides me. I forget the exact word that he used, but lets me know what's the proper thing I should be doing here. What's the right path? What's the right fork in the road? What direction do I want to go in here with this, out, or the other? I said, okay. Never ever use the word spirituality with him for the year that I was coaching him. It wasn't appropriate. When he did get stuck, and in my notes, just a little tee-hee to myself mostly, but I put, what is his connection to a sense of spirituality or divine presence? I put gut, and I just capitalized it, capital G-U-T, gut. That was the verbiage that I used with him whenever he got stuck. And didn't talk about spirituality, didn't talk about God, didn't talk about Jesus, didn't talk about Catholicism, because it wasn't appropriate. I follow my client. I'm not here to direct them in any way, shape, or form. But now I have more information about that particular individual and all the other ones by going through this really simple form. So let me stop here, Jimmy, with any questions or comments about any part of this in terms of how it works, when it might not work, or a different way to approach it, perhaps even.
Yeah, we don't have any questions coming in. It was interesting though. I loved when you were telling that little story there, and you capitalized gut, which obviously sounds and looks much like God, and so it made me think. Is Peter going to say, so tell me, when you speak to your gut, what does it say? And so it made a lot of sense to me to go that route. And so that was really interesting.
Yeah, and I did exactly that question. So what is your gut telling you? You know, or people come in to a coaching session and they've been multitasking all day or all week or all month or for the last 3 years, and now they're confused, right? They got so many things bombarding them in terms of wanting something from them. They've been wanting something, they can't do it all. They're at their wits' end. They forget that they have access to God, Jesus, Buddha, Yahweh, Mother, Father, Earth, whatever they call it. And so I have a great privilege of saying, okay, so if you just take a moment, if you're willing to just take a deep breath and close your eyes if you like, if you're comfortable with that. And yeah, go down to your gut and just be with it. What's coming up for you? Take your time. It can be that easy and that powerful. And that powerful. Because he forgot. Yeah, I heard a voice, but I didn't know who that was.
That was actually me interrupting you. I just wanted to add that Iris noted here that she uses the foundation system too. And she agrees that it's important and powerful and pragmatic, way to build trust and relationship.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like I said, if I was a commandant of coaching worldwide, I would say you cannot do weekly coaching sessions until you've done a foundation session with that client. You can't go as deep. They're not going to get as much out of it. I'm convinced of that.
Yeah. Kim wants to know, do you let people know that you believe in conscious access to their sense, inner guidance as part of your message? Seems it would be very appealing these days.
I do. And actually I go further than that in terms of what kind of coach I am and what they can expect. And so I will let them know that I work with world-changing visionaries. I will tell them that I am a master coach, and I work with people that are ready, willing, and able to take action moving forward in terms of their vision. And I do not give advice. I work on a very spiritual basis, and I will get to know you at that deep level. So yes, and I don't apologize for it. And some people aren't ready for me, frankly. I've shared with my students one question I love asking, and you can borrow this. This is at no extra cost today at all. This is a pro tip. I work with clients that I know will be able to get my best work. I'll say that again. I only work with clients, coaching clients, that I know that are prepared and will be ready to receive my best work. And guess what? There's millions of clients out there that would not get my best work because they want to be more productive. I want to increase my effective rate, my sales rate from 50% close to 75% closing. Well, I'm not your best client. I can do that. I was in the sales and marketing business for decades, frankly. Been there, done that, but that's not my best work anymore. So yeah. We all have social, physical, emotional, etc. aspects of ourselves. Often the spiritual is overlooked or undervalued. Scott, I couldn't again agree with you more. They do. It's like, yeah. I went to Sunday school, and yeah, I'm a good human being, and I'm a good citizen, and I don't cheat, and I don't steal, and I don't lie, and I don't take advantage of people, and I don't discount people, and good. Those are all good. And do you use the access to your divine self? It's again, talk about practicality. It's available 24/7. It never shuts down. Right? It's there 24/7, 365, leap years 366. And all I have to do is open up to connect to that. So that's what I think my meditation is going sky high, and more becoming more of a obvious practice of connecting with that source, that divine source. And life doesn't necessarily become easier, but it becomes much more fulfilling and directed. Categorically a living proof of that. Yeah. All right. So let's go. Any questions about the form itself? Any questions that are coming up there? You can see, Jimmy.
No other questions right now.
All right. Moving on then. So the practicality. When your client gets stuck. When we were just talking about. Question that I might ask. I use spirit, I use creator personally. Those are my kind of words for the divine presence. So I'll just put that in as a yellow, but you can substitute that with your word. How could your connection with spirit support you to know what's best for you? First of all, it's a spectacular coaching question. It's open-ended with a what, or a how rather. It's not closed-end as do you think that spirit could support you in this? That's yes or no. So I'm going to support everybody to go and be very conscious of opening up the questions to a what or a how typically. And substitute your word for that, or actually the client's word for it. Number two, when your client is seeking inspiration, what is spirit saying to you right now? Again, and we're asking clients from a different perspective. They did not wake up this morning thinking about how could spirits, guide them in their today's agenda, today's dilemmas. Number three, when your client is seeking confidence or asking you, how many of you that are coaches that you hear the client say, well, what do you think, coach? What do you think, Peter? What do you think, Jimmy? What do you think I should do? Whoa, we just crossed the line here. We're on the other side of the bridge from coaching. And I'll immediately, like a tennis match, take that ball right back and say, so how is spirit guiding you? How is Jesus guiding you? How is your creator guiding you? Now, I would also fill it in to make it more customized even with what it is that they're actually talking about. What is spirit guiding you in terms of starting a family? What is spirit guiding you in terms of what you want to do with your empty nesting current relationship? What is spirit guiding you to do in terms of starting up an entrepreneurial startup? Whatever that topic might be, again, the more masterful you become as a coach, the more the question will become targeted and worded with the client's words. PCC markers at 6.1. Do you customize your questions, or are you asking generic questions? Another pro tip. Yeah? Okay. All right, moving on. So some of the ICF competency mapping in terms of what we're talking about today, there's probably about 15 of them, but I narrowed it down to 4. Embodies a coaching mindset. 2.1 is sensitive to the client's identity, environment, experiences, values, and beliefs. Beliefs about everything. Beliefs about religion, beliefs around spirit, beliefs around how to be a good citizen, how to be a good woman, how to be a good man, how to be a good employee, how to be a good whatever. All right, so 2.1, bingo, 100%. 2.4 remains aware of and open to the influence of context and culture on self and others. This is a rhetorical question, but what impact has the religious traditions of this individual had on their life? Lots. There's still things down there kind of at a lower level that they've been unconscious about for the last 20 years. And guess what? They're still at an operating level in terms of what they do, can't do, shouldn't do. Some of it good, some maybe restrictive at this stage. Now that I'm 40 years old, do I really need to be worried about that particular element of something that I picked up from my childhood programming? Maybe yes, good, keep it. Maybe no, good. We're here to coach, and we can raise that to a higher level of awareness so you can make new and better choices for yourself. Yeah. Number 4, cultivates trust and safety. Definitely. If I were to put one on the top of this list, it would be that one. Seeks to understand the client within their context, which may include their identity. I'm a Christian. I'm a Hindi. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a whatever. Environment, experiences, values, and again, and beliefs. I don't necessarily believe in one God. I believe in a power. I believe in a higher power. I believe in, again, whatever those beliefs are. But there's something that is innately bonding when a coach can openly and without judgment go into this realm of, this woo-woo spirituality, and just let the client know, hey, buddy, it is what it is, and I'm happy to support you, and this will help me to support you if and when you get stuck along the way, and support you to look at things maybe from a different perspective. Totally up to you. Number 7, evokes awareness. Yeah, obviously. It's like, duh. Ask questions about the client, such as their way of thinking, values, needs, wants, and guess what? Again, beliefs, right? So it's all over our competencies. And I'm not saying that that is the only thing that the ICF had in mind when they wrote up these new competencies back in, I think it was 19 that these came out. Beliefs is about beliefs around everything. Beliefs around sexuality, beliefs around age, beliefs around color, beliefs around work ethic, beliefs around politics. I mean, just on and on and on and on. And again, I am in the business of raising a client's awareness so that they can make, hopefully, more informed and better decisions about what they want to do and who they want to be. Yeah. Okay. So that's the mapping piece of it. I'm going to get into an exercise now because all of my clients, all of my students specifically come to us because we talk about who are you at your core. So it talks about a journey back to core self, not articulating self, small s self, because small s self is mostly the exterior, the externals. I am of this age. I am Caucasian. I am in this stage of life. I am an ex-executive. I am a this, that, and another, right? But the deeper existential question is, who am I? Here's a better question that I always use. Who did my creator make me to be? Who did my creator make me to be? Ooh, very different question. So this is from the inside out. The core self is a process that we've taken every single student that I've ever had through this. Like I said, there's a long version. We don't have time to do that today, and it's fairly complex. But the short version, I'm going to take you through the actual steps right now, okay? Any questions before we launch into this? This will take about 10, 15 minutes, Jimmy.
Yeah, Kiara asks, could the divine presence be more than just one and be in contrast?
That's a very interesting question. It could be for that individual. There could be a dichotomy. It's kind of like the yin and the yang, right? For me personally, it's not. For me, it's a unified consciousness, energy that is beyond human parameters. Yeah. But if now, if the client said, yeah, no, there's two parts to that for me. There's this side of Jesus and there's this side of Jesus in terms of, you know, the destructor or the resurrector. Okay. And again, I'm not going to debate that. That's their beliefs. And that's why I ask them what their beliefs are. The important part here from a coach's perspective is I'm going to keep that in mind then when I ask them the questions of, okay, so what would the destructor part of Jesus do in this situation? What needs to be unlearned or undone? And what is the part that needs to be put into place? The resurrection part. So I would actually use that information with that client that held that as a part of their belief system. Now, my guess is that there are less than probably, I'm going to say 5% of the coaches around the world that could do that piece of work or have that piece of information in a foundation session and be able to use it properly. And yet, how powerful would that be in that conversation with the client? Again, rhetorical question. It would be awesome. Because that particular client would be, my guess is that they didn't wake up this morning and say, okay, so yeah, there's two elements to my spirituality, and how does this apply now to you know, this cantankerous relationship that I have at work that I just like to smack them in the nose. But if they're in a coaching session and the coach were to ask that question, woohoo, the Illuminata. It's like, woo, yeah. Okay. What else? Yeah. Did that answer the question from where did it come from? Kiara? Kiara, is that what you meant by the more than one?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, and thank you. Yeah, and they may have many deities, by the way. Many cultures have many deities. They have a deity for love, a deity for work, a deity for this, and you know, been doing a lot of work in India over the last 12 years in person up until COVID. And they have a holiday every week. I love it. They're celebrating one deity and then next week there's another deity.
We do the same thing here, Peter, in America. We've got National Hot Dog Day, National Donut Day, National, you know, everything holiday.
Don't tell me I missed National Donut Day. I hate that.
I think it was a couple weeks ago.
Oh, no. Oh, now I'm sad. I always get lit up when I see the hot buns coming out the thing. Anyhow, that's off on a tangent. All right, so let's go through the 10-minute exercise, and we'll do some things with this in terms of how to put it to work. So, number one, just take out a piece of paper for yourself. This is just for you. You don't have to share it. You can share it if you like. We'll put it to some work right after this, but if it's confidential and you want to keep it that way, personal, it will be held that way. You don't have to share it. So this is just for you. What 5 life-affirming qualities do you love in your favorite animal, pet, hero, heroine? Could be fictional or non-fictional. It could be from the past. It could be from the present. What are 5 life-affirming qualities that you just categorically love about that particular entity? I could pick whatever you want. Could be my doggy from childhood days. It could be Lassie that was on TV. That'll date you. It could be a heroine that comes from a novel. Five life-affirming qualities. One word, just one word each. And if you would just type in the chat box 1 and done. So this is, or A and done. A done. Then I'll just get a streaming and I'll see that we've got upwards to 14 or 15 of you that have completed that. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Scott. Tony, Amy. 5 life-affirming qualities. Rita, thank you. Iris, great. Tony. I'll give you another 20 seconds or so to finish up. If you end up with 4, that's fine. If you end up with 6, that's okay. Misha, thank you. Vanessa. Okay, good. All right. We're going to go on to the second question now. And you'll see here a B1 and a B2. What is your most highly regarded hero, or again, female hero, most important personal quality? One word. And it doesn't mean that you've met with them. You may have read about them. You may know about them. Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Mandela, Kennedy, whoever your hero is. Could be a sports star. Doesn't matter. Well, what would be one word to describe their most highly regarded quality? One word. When you come up with that one word, and then you just put B2 on your sheet just for tracking purposes. Shifting gears, what's one thing in nature that you most admire or are attracted to? Anything in nature. Could be a cloud, star, sun, lake, tree, grass, flowers, daffodil, rainbow. What's one thing in nature that you have always been attracted to? Again, just one word for reference, and that's you're not going to actually use that, but a reference word for yourself. And you can put that under B2, B-2. And now I want you to think about that thing in nature. Again, the rainbow, the waterfall, the lake, the tree. What is this thing in nature's most important and life-affirming contribution to its environment, In 4 to 8 words. In 4 to 8 words, what does this thing in nature contribute to its environment? The most important thing that it contributes to its environment. When you're done with B1 and B2, you can put in the chat box for me again, B and done. B and done. Let me start that off with Scott. Thanks, Scott. Kim, thank you. You're streaming in now from Amy and is it Suli, I think. Am I reading that right? Yeah. Vanessa, Jimmy, thank you. Iris and Rita, thank you. B and done, Tony, thank you. Give you about another 15 seconds. I think we may have a couple people that are still working on it. All right. Okay, we're going to move on to C. This is the last of the part of the exercise. What are 5 things that you do that others have said to you, boy, I wish I could do that, whatever that is, as easily, as effortlessly, and as joyfully as you seem to do it? What were you doing that they were referring to? I was gardening. I was putting a business plan together. I was doing a speech. I was working on an Excel spreadsheet. I was calculating. I was mothering. I was parenting. I was painting. What are the 5 things that people have noticed and have said something similar to that to you? Boy, I wish I could do that blank as easily, as effortlessly, and as joyously as you seem to do it. 5 things. This might be 1 word, might be 2 or 3 words. If you have more than 5, go ahead, be generous with yourself. Put them down. When you're completed with C, the letter C, then you can put C, done. Thank you, Kim. Army, Amy, Vanessa, thank you, thank you, thank you. Kyra, I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, but I apologize for that. Scott, thank you. Jimmy and Rita, thank you. Sort of done, had a hard time coming up with 5. Okay. Yeah, if you have 3 or 4, that's just fine. Julie, Tony, and Amelia. Wow, so interesting. Okay, good. All right, good. It's going to become much more interesting now. So with that, okay, and that's that exact wording, exact everything that I do here is what I do with students and I do with prospective clients. This is a great exercise to put into a sample session. Again, pro tip to do, tuck this into a sample session. They will be blown away what comes out of this, because what these mean, or how I interpret these and how I share it back with them is, oh, one more thing, one more little construct thing. So the words that came up in B, okay, B1 was 1 word of your hero's highest quality, okay? So I want you to put just write this on your sheet. I am, just write the words I am, blank. And in that blank, put that 1 word that came from B1. I am compassion. I am accepting. I am love. I am inclusive. Whatever that word is that came from the hero. Okay, the hero's top quality. And then after that word, B1 word, in order to, write it down, in order to, and then put in what came out of B2. This is the thing in nature's contribution was to its environment. Put it down exactly the way you have it written out. We'll wordsmith it here if it needs to be, but write it down exactly. I am blank in order to blank, B1 and B2. When you have that, I'm going to ask you to do 2 things. One is make it into a recognizable sentence for yourself, and in the first person, and in the present tense. In other words, it is not I am this in order to eventually do this. No, I am this in order to do this basically now. And it's about I, it's not about them or you. And so do a little wordsmithing. And when you get done with this, just put I am done. I am done. And that will give me an indication that you're done with this. Oh, look at all these people that are done. Fantastic. I am done. Super duper. Okay, so I don't know how long that took, but my guess is that's probably about 10 minutes, Jimmy, wouldn't you say? Ish. Yeah. And that's, again, doing it with the whole group. One-on-one, you can do this in about 7 minutes, frankly. Super duper. Good deal. Now, here's the grand reveal. What you wrote in A, the 5 life-affirming qualities, are your core values. Another way to say that or interpret that is your most authentic way of being. Your most authentic way of being. A little validation on this is if you can imagine yourself in a stressful situation and you were able to be these things when you showed up in that conversation, that negotiation, that you know, juggernaut that you were involved in. My guess is that you did really well and that you were being your authentic self. You weren't trying to be somebody else. And I would also give the conjecture of you did not acquiesce. You didn't back down. You didn't shrink because you were being your most authentic self. There might have even been a sense of, I know you disagree with me, and that's okay. I respect you for that, but I am not going to change my mind and be something that I'm not. Okay. Number 2, the statement that you just did, the I am, is I would propose your life purpose statement. What you are here to contribute to your world, to your environment. The first part of this, the I am, what came out of B1 is your core identity. I am love. I am the personification of love. I am the personification of compassion. I'm the personification of presence. Whatever that word is, that's your core identity. In order to, you put that to work, if you will, to contribute what you have written in B2. Yeah? Okay, socks are coming off. I see them flinging across the bottoms of the floors there. The third thing that we talked about is what other people recognize in you. This is a beginning list, not a comprehensive list, just because of the brevity of the exercise. For all 3 of these, by the way. But these are your core strengths, or the beginning list of your core strengths. Your most effective way of doing, getting stuff done, accomplishing, just doing it. These are 5 things. All of these things, I believe, have been there since birth. They're in you now, and they will be there until you die. They don't go away. From a spiritual standpoint, the way I talk about these are endowments from my Creator. My core values, my life purpose, my core strengths. Endowments from my Creator. Now, I can choose to develop them or not. I can choose to align with them or not. I can choose to employ them or not, just because I've got free will. Sometimes yeah, thank you very much, but I'm going to do it my way. Thank you very much for all the advice there, God. But I got this. You know, go work with somebody that needs help. Yeah, I give myself permission to do that. It generally doesn't work out, by the way. No surprise there. So I want to open it up to questions before we get to how to use them. So let me just stay with that one.
If anybody wants to come off mute, they can certainly ask a question, or if they're feeling shy today, they can write their question in the chat, and I will be more than happy to relay that to the group.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
May I have a quick question?
Sure.
Peter, how is it that what we're drawn to, or the I guess that would be B1, translates to our core strengths, like what we admire?
B1 was, yeah, the core quality is what we're getting.
Quality.
B1,
Right.
yeah. That here's the philosophy behind the whole thing is that I value that which I see in my world that's important to me. Like the world's a mirror. Any of you that have siblings that go back and talk about childhood, you know, remember when mom and dad did this, or what vacation we went on, you know, when you were 14 and I was 15, and you have a conversation around that, there's two different experiences. It's like, wait a minute, that didn't even happen. Yeah, it did. That was the most important part of the whole trip for me. When we went to Niagara Falls and sister almost fell in and, you know, grabbed him and they go, where was I? I don't remember that. So the same thing here, Shakespeare said it, the world's a stage. What I am, and the reason that this is so powerful is that I bypass your linear programmed mind. You didn't know what I was doing. Well, a couple of you did because you've been my student before, but other than that, I come in under the radar of the conditioned mind and indirectly come at what's most important to you. What do you pick up in your hero or your heroine that is significant for you? Well, you pick up what's important in them because that's what you most are and want for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Great question. Love this, blown away, says Amelia. Thank you, Amelia. This is great. Thank you for that, Iris. Appreciate it. Now,
yes, this is Hermie. Peter, this is not really a question, but just a comment.
Sure,
I found the exercise extremely revealing. I think it's very powerful in terms of recognizing strengths and also asking the question that you did as to what do you choose to accept, what do you choose to employ, and what are you bringing to play in everyday life?
Exactly. And do you see the power in that as a coach to be able to have that information now with this new client? It's like mind-boggling. First of all, you're opening up their mind to clarity because they've been looking for their life purpose for the last 20 years and they can't, it's been evasive. And so this gives them some grounding and go, you know what? Yeah, I do relate to this. Now, it may not be 100%. I mean,
Sure.
you know, but what I say to my students is even if this is only 20% accurate for that particular client, I have 100% more information now than I did 10 minutes ago about that client. And
yes.
It begins that bonding, that conversation of what's important to them. And what do they, whatever topic they're going to be talking about now for the next 3 months, I have something to anchor it back to. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Very significant. Thank you for the comment and thank you for the appreciation.
Go ahead, Amy.
Amy, go ahead.
Thank you. I hope you don't mind me sort of going back to something that intrigued me in the beginning, but I just was curious about how and what you discovered, you know, if you're willing to share it around where you can, I think, I don't want to misquote you, but you know, where you can most be of service. Like, did you? Yeah.
So how I can be most of service to my client is to reflect their own core back to them. But I don't know that until I ask these kinds of questions or go through this exercise because my clients have not articulated it this way before. 99% of the client, 100% of the people are living by a set of values. No question in my mind about that. My question to them is, and my question to myself back 25 years ago is, what values am I living by? Well, I'm living by my parents' values. I'm living by my American values. I'm living by my male Caucasian values. I'm living by my corporate values. I'm living according to my professors' values and so on and so forth. which are all external, not all bad, but much more important to me now as a human being and as a coach and as a coach trainer is how can I have my client access their own core values and bypass the programming or the conditioning that's taken place and say, no, as a woman, you are supposed to, and now you could probably fill that blank in with 100 things. So when I can get to my client's core and they have articulated it, their words, not mine, 100% of them, the words that you wrote down are your words. I didn't dictate any of those to anybody. And when I can use those words and reflect those back, then I am of huge service to them. And guess what? Number one, they don't change by and large. And number two, they forget. Because they're human. Yeah. Did that come close to answering your question?
I think we may have gotten the technical issue because I think Amy.
Oh, did you?
So fortunately, she'll be able to watch the recording later.
Okay. All right.
And hear your full answer.
All right. Good enough.
I'm hoping that you did answer her question nicely. There's a comment. Oh, Amy's coming back, so we'll give her a second.
Okay. the circuit's blue.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I didn't do that, Amy. That was not my fault.
No, it was actually
before by accident, but I did not kick you out.
It was my son. I said, do not interrupt me under any circumstances, for an hour and a half. And lo and behold, the call came in and I didn't even touch it. So I apologize.
So I don't know how much of that you heard, Amy, or if I was on the right track of answering that.
Well, I got the reflecting. I think I got most of it, but I think I understand. I think I understand it, and it makes total sense to be able to reflect back your core values, and then you were talking about surface values versus like deeper. Yeah. As opposed to old programming, if you will. Exactly.
For those of you that are technical in terms, one of the metaphors that's brilliant is that if you were trying to work with right now on Zoom, and you were working with an operating system on your computer that was MS-DOS, which was like 1970s, right, operating system that Microsoft came out with, very first one, you and I couldn't be doing this right now, period, because it's an old operating system. What I get jazzed about and excited about with this whole process and in coaching in general is I can support my client to recalibrate their operating system from who they should be or who they should apologize to be in certain circles and stand up in their own right and say, I know you think that, maybe you think about that about me, but that's simply not true. Because I know myself. I love myself. I'm proud of myself. And I am being myself, and I'm being of service in a life-affirming manner. It changes the game. It literally changes the game in terms of employment, in terms of relationships, in terms of self-care, in terms of self-mastery, in terms of going after your passions, your aliveness, your health. It has an impact on all of the above. And I'm living proof of that. At 37, I was sick, overweight, disgruntled. I had a lot of money in the bank, but that was it. I was bankrupt inside. I'm 70, I'll be 74 this year, and I feel like I'm 35. And I don't take any drugs of any kind, prescription or otherwise. And I can't wait for the next 30 years. Can't wait for the next 30 years. So there. All right. We're moving on.
Peter, speaking of age, Kim has a question about age. She says this exercise seems to be appropriate for most levels of adults, but is there a lower maturity or age limit that it might not be as potent?
Love that question. Always get it from my students. The youngest age that current record holder is 6 years old. Six. The reason it works with kids is because they have a great imagination, number one, and number two, they have a whole lot less baggage than the person that's 26, 36, 46, 56, 66. and they can get to it much quicker. I had one mother that went back and did it for a 7-year-old. This is like probably 18 years ago now, 20 years ago. It was so popular that all the other mothers on that block and in the school system came to her and said, could you do that for my student, my kids? And so they had a seventh birthday party, went like several of them in a row, and she did it for each birthday party. And it was stunning. It was stunning. And the relevance, the imagination, the purity was absolutely mind-boggling. Like, they're actually thinking about stuff like that, or they actually came up with stuff like that. Yeah, unbelievable. Okay, so I want to go in terms of how do we use it as a coach. When your client is hesitant to commit to a difficult but necessary action step, I bring in the core values. The core strengths. What core strengths, if any, could support you to do what you need to do to have this be successful? This is right out of the handbook of PCC markers 8.6. What support structures could you put into place to have this be successful? Use their strengths, use their words. They've got a support system, but they basically forgot about it. So it ties right into 8.6 PCC markers. Check, boom, done. The assessor is going to go, wow, this is a professional coach that we're dealing with here. Okay. When the client is seeking confidence or courage for saying something that they really care about to a loved one, this is about emotions. This is not necessarily about doingness as much as beingness. So then I pull out the core values. What core value or what core values would support you to be the person you need to be confident? I've personalized it. I've used their word, not mine. I've reminded them of their deep down core value of compatibility. I want to bring compatibility to this. I want to bring understanding to this. I want to bring love to this, even though I hate this guy's guts or this is happening and off. I don't want to be that person. Again, ICF is looking for the what and the who. The what is the situation. The who are you as you're showing up? Who do you need to be? Who do you want to be to have this be a successful exchange? Go right back to their core value, one of their core value words, or all of them. If you take a look at your core values, do you have them there in front of you? Yep, got them here. Which of those kind of pop out at you that might be appropriate to bring that into your way of being when you're having that blank, that argument, that discussion, that delivering bad news, whatever it is? Okay, got a couple more examples here for you, and then we're going to try to do a group. Not we're going to try to do it. We're going to do it. Oh, we got 15 minutes left here. That's fine. We're doing perfectly beautifully, by the way. We're going to do it right now. I want everybody at the same time. I want you to think of a major life decision. You're in a major fork of road, stage of life, something happening. It could be health-wise, it could be family-wise, it could be career-wise, but what's something that's real for you, that you've been considering over the past several months or maybe years, with at least 2 or 3 options that you've been pondering. Do I leave my career and start my own business? Do I leave this company, go to a different company? Do I, what kind of relationship do I have with my spouse right now? And is it the one that I want to continue? Big stuff. Write it down for yourself. You're not going to have to share this with anybody. I was going to do breakout rooms, but I decided not to. But I'm going to be your, I'll be your master coach. You'll all be my clients in the privacy of your own Zoom room. What's one major life decision that you're currently considering? Just pick one. You got 6 things going on. You can do the other 5 after the class. Okay. Second question. Write out the actual 2 or 3 options that are the kind of the most prominent. There may be more than that, but what are the top 2 or 3 options? You'll get the idea of how to work with this just with a couple. Oh, what happened here? Hold on here. Write out 2 or 3 options. And now ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 100, on a scale of 0 to 100, to what degree would this option allow me to fulfill my life purpose? So look at your life purpose, read it out. That's the I am blank in order to blank. On a scale of 0 to 100%, I want you to imagine yourself having lived or achieved that or gone down the path of option A. To what degree are you experiencing alignment, fulfillment with your life purpose? It could be 20%, it could be 40%, it could be 95%, whatever. And again, this is just for you, not for me. In a coaching session, I would actually ask the client, obviously, what that percentage is. But because this is all confidential and in a group, it's just for you. And do the same thing for option B. And if you have an option C, then same thing. To what degree, if I choose that path, that particular option, on a scale of 0 to 100, to what degree will I be able to fulfill my life purpose or align with my life purpose? You'll end up with 3 percentages. They may be different, they may be similar. And whatever that is, that's just information for you. I'm going to come back to this one specifically because I know there's financial issues and other issues that are not just specifically to life purpose fulfillment, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I got one more part of this exercise. How might I edit, i.e. change or adjust that particular option, whether it was option X, Y, or Z, for it to fulfill my life purpose more? Can I do anything to adjust that option that brings in more of the vitality of my life purpose? And you can even expand this to looking at your core values and your core strengths. In fact, what I would do as a professional coach is I would bring all those into it. How many of your core strengths will you be able to use, employ in the activity of, in the mission of moving to option X or Y or Z? And can I be myself? If I look at my core values, can I show up in that environment of option A or option X? To what degree? I can easily show up there 80% authentically. This one, maybe only 15%. Now, you talk about raising the level of awareness and raising the level of congruency or alignment with their core self. You'll be of such amazing service to your coaching clients that they are going to love you forever. They're gonna send you an email 12 years from now and say, "Hey, remember me? Well, I'm now the VP of Umpty Dump. And you helped me get here." and I'm loving my life. They love me. Life is grand. I'm getting a question here. I'll answer that while everybody else is contemplating. Is this an exercise one would do together with a client? The answer for me is yes. I do this with my client. This is from Tony. Thanks, Tony. Yeah. I actually do this, and I recommend to my students to do this in a sample session. There's a longer version of this that we teach, but this particular exercise, and I can do in a sample session because it's an hour long, and half of that is an actual coaching session the way we've structured it. That's another whole. Yeah. Want to bring me back, Jimmy? I can do everything on foundation sessions and talk about that for an hour and a half easy. Yeah.
We'll see what the survey says.
Survey says, yeah. Who is that guy? And let's have him come back. You got all kinds of bright ideas, or not.
I think it sounds like a pretty good idea. Oh, Amelia says yes.
Yes, let's bring him back. Okay. Yes, my #1 fan. Thank you, Amelia. So I'm going to open it up to questions now in terms of what, how, where, why, when, anything at all about anything that we've talked about.
Peter, this is Misha. I'm just going to start off by saying, remember me. Thank you so much, because I'm at a major transition in my life, especially that my father, he's recently passed, and that has rocked my foundation. And I find myself discovering, of course, with partnering with support, that a lot of my values were my father's.
Yeah.
So you really got me there on what values am I living by? You got me there. I felt like I was going to pass out in my seat, really. So I'm just saying, remember me, because I know that in a couple of months, even before the year is out, things are going to look a lot different for me. And I'm going to be reaching out to say, hey, Peter, you remember me?
I will remember you, Misha. And thank you so much. And God bless your dad and all the wonderful things he left behind, which obviously you're a big part of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? I'm happy to talk about those. I have some resources that I want to share with all of you. Most of them are for free. I've got, I don't know, probably 60 or 70 hours that I've recorded for public consumption. It's on YouTube. It's available to the world. And a whole bunch more on this core self. But let me just share that, Jimmy. Let me go to that right now.
Sure.
So Coach for Life is a training company that I'm co-founded back in 1996, actually. But we've been an ICF provider since they had credentialing in 1999. And we still do that. We're converting over to level 1, level 2, level 3 right now. The rest of these are free. If you want to be part of a Tuesday, what I call Tuesdays with Peter, show up. It's on Tuesdays at 10 to 11 a.m. USA Eastern. And if you want become in the Zoom room so that it can be live, send something to support@coachforlife.com, and Cello will send you back a link to join me in that. I'd love to have you. Love to have all the coaches, lots of coaches show up for that. Core Self Tech is that exercise that we just went through. There's 6 exercises. 6, let me get my fingers right. 6 exercises up there that are free, downloadable, it's open to the world. My goal is to have 1 billion people take that and find out who they really are. So you could really help me in that. And that's at coreselfie.com. Core selfie, kind of like a snapshot from the inside out is the little tagline we have there. Core self with an IE.com. And you can download this exercise that we just did. Give it to everybody that you know, please. You can stay in touch with me on LinkedIn. I'm there. I'm not particularly active with social media, but I've got, I don't know, 5,000 people I'm connected to worldwide. So that's all available. And if you want to take advantage of that, please do. Parting words. You'll never go wrong being your authentic self, period. You'll never go wrong being your authentic self. You may get in trouble being your little self or your adopted self, or your organizations have told you who you are supposed to be, self. I think I'm up to about 186 little selves that I've determined that I have been during my life, and it wasn't to my credit. I only have one core self, and I just love who I've become or have become. I love coaching. I love coaches. I applaud all of you for whatever training you've gone through already and what you may come to in the future. God bless you. We need more of you. And so, Jimmy, I want to thank you, a special thank you, and I'll give you the last couple of minutes to wrap it up.
Well, thank you, Peter. Normally, this is where I say, hey, Peter, how can everybody get in touch with you? But you've already done that beautifully, so thank you so much. This was really, really, this was fascinating. This was a lot of just eye-opening. I love the exercises, and Amisha will tell you I am not one of those like, oh, let's do an exercise kind of people, but I loved it, and I didn't catch on right away where you were going, but it was... And particularly when we got to the nature part, I was like, huh, the nature thing? Like, and my thing was dirt. And I thought, wow, I don't know about dirt, but dirt was my thing. But what it does is it brings life to everything on earth. And so I'm like, okay, I can live with that. That's fantastic. And then it all totally made sense. And so for me, the exercise was amazing. I don't do anything like this in my coaching, but this is a phenomenal way to open up that conversation, that foundation session. I find this like, I'm going to start using this all the time because this is great. It's just, it like you say, it just like gets right into the core and it gives you a foundation and a basis to work with that person. So that's, yeah, I spoke a lot there, but thank you so much, Peter, for agreeing to do this. There was plenty of love I saw in the chat and the responses. Thank you, everybody, for doing the survey so far. I see I've got a little typo in there, so I got to fix that. But we definitely appreciate all of your responses, and we are just really happy to be able to do the master classes by master coaches. And so, Peter, thank you so much. And hey, you know what? Maybe if Misha says so, we'll have you back again real soon. We'd love to.